That's right here. Yeah. And she's just rusted.
From walking from the car to here.
Okay, Kelly, you're up.
Okay. I have a dragonfly. We're good?
Yes, we're live.
Okay, there we go.
There we go.
Hi, Rob. Okay, this is Public Works Committee meeting, August 6th, 4:08 at the time. And purpose of the meeting today is to discuss the right-of-way ordinance and get closer to finalizing what we want to have so that we can give the document to Frost Brown Todd and get an ordinance that we can submit to PUCO to formally go on the record. But there's one thing that our mayor has come across today that is a little bit of an interesting tidbit that will have a significant impact on what we decide today. Bill, do you want to tell us what you discovered?
Well, I made a few phone calls and I called the nice folks up at Marble Cliff because obviously we've been, modeling our document off of one of theirs. And of course the fee structure obviously was, they seem to have a more tricky, more arduous fee structure. So anyway, I called up there and it's kind of interesting because it's a very, very small village, like 500 people. And if you really have to call between the hours of 9 and 12, because there is no staff to answer the phone. So anyway, long story short, I call and the chief fiscal officer, a gal named Cindy McKay, answered the phone. And so I, began to explain to her that, I had a couple of questions I'd like to talk over. I know that Frost Brown did your document. They're doing our document. And we're doing a lot of comparison work here. And of course, my first question to her, because as I voiced this concern once before, was, have you guys had any success in enforcing the damn thing? I mean, this is really, to my way of thinking, at least prior to talking to her, was this is just a very expensive piece of paper that a legal firm has prepared for us. And these old line utilities are more or less just going to blow you off because they've got gold-plated easements down your right-of-ways. But as it turns out, part of the key to this, to the enforceability of this, of course, is that once you have your document prepared, you send it off to PUCO. And once PUCO gives it, it's basically, just makes a sign of the cross over the thing and gives it its blessing, then it becomes an entirely different, document in terms of carrying legal weight. So she said that short answer here is that, yeah, they have had success. Basically, when a utility comes in and they are proposing to do something, usually it's something, that's kind of minor and not out of line with what they've been doing all along anyway. They basically had some, they wave the document around and say, not so fast, folks. We want it done this way or that way. And it kind of works out. But the more interesting part of the discussion was regarding the fees, because again, I was very dubious about being able to collect fees from old line utilities that haven't been paying fees for 100 years. Why would they start paying them now just because you got some fancy piece of paper? And again, it turns out because once it's got the blessing of the Public Utilities Commission, then it becomes a differently weighted document.
Or it becomes enforceable.
It becomes enforceable. And what she did is she sent me a copy.
Wait, no, that's this.
Okay, got it there. She sent me a copy of the letters that they send out to each utility at the start of the year.
Exhibit A. I will get you copies of
We'll
these.
give you copies of this. And then she also sent me, enclosed in that was they have a village engineer like good old Chris.
Good old Chris.
And he apparently does a calculation for each utility at the start of the year, and then there's a multiplier in there, and the letter is sent off. In fact, what do they call it? They have a slightly different name for it.
They call it the annual registration maintenance fee.
Yeah. And that essentially gives the utility the rights, to access the right of way, within the given year. And anyway, like I said, he does the calculation. They send it off to the separate utilities, and wouldn't you know it?
They get money.
They get money. They actually pay for this. Yeah. So I'm very encouraged. But now let me let you in on the best part. She also went on to tell me that, because I was kind of bellyaching about the, cost of doing this. She said what they did is that they took their, because they had Frost Brown taught as well, and they took the total what they spent with those guys, and then any other additional expenses, and they kind of split it over the coming 3 years, so we can recoup all of our legal expenses
For this document.
Yes.
for this doc. Well, no, wait a minute,
No,
Rob.
for the
Wait a minute, it gets better. Yeah, for this document, or for any hours that Chris would spend doing the calculation to come up with the multiplier that we would need to submit to the utility, we can submit that in there, because that is a cost to us of maintaining our right of way. Anything. Hey, John, are you awake?
Yes, sir. I'm listening to you.
Okay, if you're awake.
He's hanging on your every word,
Hanging
Bill.
on my every word. Any cost that John
As am I.
might incur in interacting with the utility, I don't know what it would be exactly, but anything that he may do, those costs can be included in the calculation as well. So this whole thing is looking up, and I'm beginning to wonder. I sort of mentioned her briefly about the Dublin model and how they were, sort of trying to get around using the arduousness of the calculation. And she wasn't entirely familiar with that. So I didn't really want to press that. But she did say to me, look, if you guys want to go the route of the calculation, have your engineer call our engineer. He'll more than be happy to explain it, how you come up with the calculation. It's not as complicated as it appears to be. And apparently it turns out that this may be the preferred method of PUCO, because you're actually calculating the exact costs that you have incurred to maintain your right of way, instead of sort of a blanket fee that's a little debatable as to, how'd you get that fee? Where'd that fee come from?
Right. This could be more accurate.
Yeah, it's way more accurate. Yeah, exactly. And if the utility wanted to challenge you on a charge or something, you can point to it. You can say, no, right here it is. This is what it cost me.
Yeah.
Well, and to that point, I don't know if, I think we'd have to work to get as accurate as possible if we go with Dublin. But what I like that Bill's telling me is this calculation in Marble Cliff is not nearly as difficult as the legalese makes it sound.
That's great. Yeah.
Which is key, because the other thing is, if we just keep as much with the Marble Cliff ordinance, obviously the less work Jack and his group have to put into it. Therefore, we keep our legal fees down. So I really like the fact that you talked to this person and that it's not as much of a challenge as we had thought it could be. And the fact that they're receptive to conversation. We've tried calling this Megan O'Callahan in Dublin. I've tried 3 times. Bill's tried at least that many times.
Well, I did talk to her one time, but it was
to call you back.
Yeah, to basically,
right.
Yeah.
I'm picking up my kids. I'll call you back. That was the extent of your conversation.
More or less. Yeah.
So, let's think about that. If we have the ability to make the calculation, they're receptive to talking to us, it would minimize the changes we would have to make. It might be the right way to go.
I agree. I think it would be good. I think it would be good if Chris goes in, calls and talks to the village engineer up there to see if he's comfortable with, that is that easy to calculate.
Yeah.
Let's keep it the same. I agree.
Yeah.
As long as Chris says, that's good.
Yeah. Sounds good to me.
I'd be happy for us to, do a conference call with a fellow. Anything I can learn is education for me, but you and I can work that out, Chris. That's no big deal.
Okay.
But, it's overwhelmingly comforting to me that they are so receptive to having a conversation with us, and they're helpful. They'll be a good resource, even though their population has dropped by more than 100 people in the last year.
Wow. Yeah, but it's nice to have another municipality go through this, and then they can literally walk us through. That'd be great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
and also let me just mention this just as an aside too. The reason I got that last minute phone call here right when the meeting started is I'm corresponding with a guy out at Anderson, their deputy chief administrator. I wanted to talk to him more about the 5G, but obviously I'm going to ask him about their right-of-way documents and how they do things. So I may be able to get a little, even more additional information. Let's find out what they're doing as well. And basically who does the calculation for them.
Yep.
So,
Right.
So Bill, were you able to get the name of the village engineer to be able to give to Chris, who to contact?
Yes.
yeah.
We got it right here.
From Marble Cliff. Yeah.
Yeah, what I'll do is I will, Bill, I can have these?
Yeah.
Okay, so I've got the email that Bill got from Cindy McKay. I'll get these scanned and send them to Chris at least, and Rob, if you want to have a copy of them, that's fine. I'll have Allison scan them and I can get them to you guys. Because that's got names, phone numbers, the letter that they send out, their calculation.
Oh, that sounds priceless.
So I'll get that to you this afternoon.
Okay.
Nice
thank-
job.
I know, right? Right?
Yeah.
He did.
It's worth the piece of paper it's printed on. If I
Well,
recall, isn't that
well,
one of the things
Let's
you
make
said
sure.
last time?
Yeah. As it turns out, Rob, look, you can't blame me for being skeptical,
Should
can
we
you?
tell them about
Yeah.
5904?
What about,
There,
And
that's
hey,
it.
look, that skepticism led to me shaking down the information.
God, I
So,
love that terminology
you know.
you're using.
yeah,
No, I think it's great you did that. Thank you very
This is
much.
public record. Bill, this is public record.
I'm shaking down.
God, it's like sitting next to Austin Powers.
Yeah.
It's just one win.
All right, I'm not getting into that one.
So that's great.
that-
That's great.
Yeah,
Great,
so that being said, again, kind of a change of direction for us, but a good one. If everyone agrees that the best next productive step is indeed to, I'll get these documents to have that conversation, Chris, if you're okay with that. Yeah, and
well,
again, I'd love to be in that conversation if there's a way to work that.
Yeah.
Being an engineer and everything.
Yeah,
I hide it well, don't I?
if you can.
Yeah.
So, that's great.
Mhm.
So, and if originally I had wanted to do in this meeting is basically take the opportunity to go through that list of Chris's questions and make sure that we have indeed addressed all of them. You see the notes that I've made, because what I sent you was the Marble Cliff right-of-way document with my notes on it.
Right.
So again, I just want to make sure we can take a couple minutes and just go through this list and say, answered.
And there's actually, so I really appreciate you sending this out because I went through your document and my document side by side. And there were some additional things I had in mind, just if I can add to your list on your, on the thing you sent to us. Just a few things. It's like literally like 3 or 4 of them. So.
Sure.
Okay, well, do you have,
I numbered all my pages so they match up with your numbered pages. So it makes
Rob, the scan I sent has all the pages numbered.
I know, but
Hey, I
my,
dumbed it down for you.
I know. So I did that to my version where I marked it up so I can easily refer to that.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Okay, so,
So you want to go through page by page real quickly? And like you said, we'll look at Chris's things, make sure those are addressed. And if there are other things that can add in there.
so you'd like to go through page by page before we look at Chris's questions?
Well, Chris's questions are also page by page, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But you know what, before we do that, let's talk about the grandfathered question. I think that we were gonna throw that out at Jack or whoever he's gonna ask at Frost Brown Todd.
Yeah, and then, well, there's actually a section in here that caused me to ask that question. So
Uh-huh.
if we go through, again, can we just go through page by page real quick?
Yep.
It won't take long.
Yep.
So, hey, one thing, so at the bottom of page 1, it refers to a chapter 29. Obviously, that's not going to be, I don't know what that refers to in our version. So they're going to need to fix that, right?
Yeah,
Chapter
well,
20.
yeah, what, 29 or 92?
92.
Okay,
I'm sorry, did I say 29?
Yeah.
yes,
I'm sorry, my bad. Dyslexia again. So
yes, again.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that would be, obviously our numbers need to correspond with
Yeah.
our codes.
And so the other question I would have is on page 2, they have, and throughout this, they refer to City of Columbus. I just don't know, do we need to have, do we just replace that with City of Cincinnati, or we just?
I don't know. Do we need to put City of Cincinnati? I think we just have to put our village in Hamilton County. What do you think, Chris?
Right, that's what I was gonna say. I think Columbus needs to be removed and just call out the county. Because Columbus
Yeah.
is a city county government where we've got a City of Cincinnati and a Hamilton County government.
Right.
So we would just be Village of Mariemont and then Hamilton County.
Right, yeah, because I scratched through that, Rob, on, and said remove on the copy I sent.
Yeah, no, I saw that. I just didn't know if we need to replace it with,
Oh, I see. I
Cincinnati.
know, I just think it goes. We just
Okay. If
pull that
it's-
whole thing
as
out.
it goes, and then Hamilton County is what we put in, I'm good with that.
Icky dicky.
Okay, so 95 on page 7. Page 7 is where I thought I saw that this is where the right of what the grandfathering question sort of comes up.
Okay.
Because this to me says, it says there in part B, any person owning, operating, or maintaining the system in the right of way has to, without a certificate of registration, has to get one. This says. And so to me, that says, oh, you're not grandfathering then.
Rob, it's my understanding there is no grandfathering basically because, it goes back to the PUCO document. Once you have that created and you send out that annual letter to every utility doing business in your right of way, they're going to have to, they have to have a certificate of registration, pay the fee.
Well, except for if you go down on that same page 7 in subsection 2, it says cable operators and video providers are exempt, because it makes it later on, it says that they're paying some other fee. And I don't, again, this is another question. They're exempt from this one because theoretically they're paying some other kind of fee. And I don't know if that applies to us or not.
Yeah, I guess that's a good question to shake down for sure.
Yeah, I think, because I think this has to do with franchise fees, like with Time Warner Cable. So they might be paying something already to us, and so they don't want to pay twice.
Right.
Right.
So again, we just need to verify that they are paying the franchise fee to us, so we're receiving some kind of, benefit from them as well.
Every time they mention the City of Columbus, are we taking their name out and putting in the villages?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we're not replacing it with City of Cincinnati. Anything that says City of Columbus will change to Village. Well, anyhow, let me back up. Anything that says Village of Marble Cliff, we're going to change to Village of Mariemont. Anything that says City of Columbus is just gone. We're
Okay.
just taking that out. Is that?
And anything that says county, we're going to put Hamilton in, right?
Yeah,
Right.
we're not going to move to Franklin County.
No, I know, but there's some places like in this section here, it just says county, the county and City of Columbus. So
County, the City of Columbus.
And Hamilton County. Yeah, anywhere it says county, we'll add Hamilton. Anywhere it says City of Columbus, we'll just take it out.
okay.
Yeah,
I think that will work.
yeah.
So again, this 95.02 is where, to me, it says no grandfathering. So that's what I'm just saying. It seems to link to that section.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay.
Okay.
But I want to get back to this cable thing. So we're thinking that they're already paying a fee to the village? Is that the way you interpret that?
Yeah.
I
Okay.
think,
What were you saying? You were saying about a franchise fee?
yeah, I think, and this is just from my being around the council chamber meetings a lot past years, that I believe Time Warner Cable, or now Spectrum, pays us some kind of franchise fee to be in the village. And we would just need to find out if that's still current, if they're still paying it, and do they want to replace it with this system, or do we just leave it as is? And then, like in this example, we would exclude them from paying this fee.
Well, hey, Rob, have you ever seen that show up on any of Eli's or Tony's revenue reports?
I don't think it's, well, I have a.
It could be where it's,
Because to be honest, I'm not
Where it
sure.
would be.
I'm not sure I've ever seen that.
Well, and that's the people who I would go to. I would go to them and ask them, it's like, do we receive that kind of a fee today?
well, I'm gonna ask Eli right now. Well, I mean, I will ask Eli.
Okay. Yeah, it'd be good to check into, because we could change that paragraph substantially if they just become another utility,
Mhm.
All right, and just lump them in with all the other utilities.
right?
I mean, and not call them out as cable providers.
Right. I mean, ideally, why are they special? If they're not
Right.
paying the fee now, we'll just lump them in with everybody else.
Well, it
Okay.
might be interesting to know, like, what's the fee based on? Is there a calculation that's done there? Should the calculation be updated? You
Right.
know, they're probably using some 20-year-old formula and we're, getting stuck.
Mhm.
Could be.
Spectrum. Okay.
So I'm looking at a
We'll be
detailed,
noting that, Bill.
Yeah, okay.
I'm looking at a detailed revenue report from Eli, and I don't see anything that talks about,
About fees from franchise
Cable
fees.
there's like liquor fees and there's hotel fees, but we don't have a hotel tax.
Mhm.
But I'm not seeing anything that,
Well, what else would she lump it in with, Rob? I mean, would
I
it
don't
be
know.
buried in something else?
no. So again, she's the right person to talk to. She handles that stuff. So
Yeah, okay.
Okay. It has been asked. It has been asked.
We're taking it up to rectum respect.
Oh, geez. I hope you guys didn't hear that.
Why did you?
Okay, so.
Yeah, we're taking note of that.
Well, it didn't come out of my mouth.
So Chris had a question on page 9, right? That's where your first one of the,
Yeah, that's the,
I don't know if it's a question. It seems like a statement there. I don't know.
Yeah, definition of right-of-way permit and application. I mean, I think a lot of these things that Chris has listed here are just things that we wanted to make sure were in there. Or
Right.
that you just wanted to point out that are already in there, more
Right.
than necessarily being an actual question.
So-
right.
In 95.03A so there's 3 fees, right? There's 3 fees. There's the certificate of registration. There's the permit when they apply for the request, and then there's actually construction fee, right? There are construction permits. So there's 3 different ones.
Is that,
And this is one of them right here. And so this is one of the ones where it says, the application fee. This is the application fee, not the ongoing fee, but the one-time application fee up front. And it
right?
says it shall be equal to all the actual and direct costs incurred by the village that are associated with receiving, reviewing, processing, granting an application. So again, this is one of the sections where we're calculating it every time. So, because again, there's 3 different fees. So we just need to make sure Chris, when you talk to them,
Yeah.
what do they use for those 3 different? And for me, the construction permit fee, doesn't Don already have a sort of fee schedule?
Yeah, we already have a fee schedule.
Well, is that just called the building fee?
I don't know. So that's
Yeah,
that's
it's the verbiage is, I think, is where we,
so that's a different section. We'll get to that section, but this is the application fee. So that's one of the ones, to find out how difficult is it because this is literally saying you calculate it every time you do an application. You tell them, here's how much you need to pay me.
Yeah, because I think this could, right, they're applying for the right to be in your right of way. So how much are you putting in our right of way?
right, as opposed to the total right-of-way.
Mhm.
Okay.
Where else did I have a question? Chris, was there any other parts of your stuff you had questions that we didn't get? Want to make sure we got answered?
No, I don't. Let's see. I don't think so. Most of, I guess the real questions I had started on 15 with the kind of the second review. Let me,
Can I want to ask a question on page 12.
Yeah.
go ahead. Kevin.
So it says, item 1, the village shall not later than 60 days after the date of filing of applicant of completed application deny or grant the application. I know we talked about maybe making that 60 days, 90 days.
No.
Do you want to change any timeline? Right now it's written as 60 days. I don't know if there's any reason to make that 90 days. I guess my concern, specifically from this village's standpoint, is not later than 60 days, manpower issue upstairs. I mean, for what it's worth.
Well,
So
I think Chris actually does more of the work on the assessing of this stuff, I think, right?
it sounds like I would, because this would be the applicant to find out how much space they're going to take up in the right of way. So
Oh, so
think-
this is the application for certificate of registration,
Right.
right.
which, so does not go to the building department?
Well, this is kind of where do you want to place it? I'm fine with doing it. We'll have to see how many. Well, I guess, if all my time can be billed back to the utility itself, I guess I should be able to handle it.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, but once we assign the responsibility to a certain party, this is, going to
Yeah.
be here long after we're all gone.
Right. I say, why don't we ask Frous Brown Todd if we can do 90, if there's any, that would give us more flexibility with our, part-time status of certain people. Namely
Right.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Because I think the way this reads, it's, as soon as that application comes in, it'll get time day stamped, and then they're going to expect an answer within the 60 or the 90. So
Right.
if everybody comes in the same day with an application, yeah, might need 90 days to get everybody, because we don't know how many. I mean, we have at least 6 utilities in the village, if not more. I mean,
Wow.
I mean,
Yeah. Let me ask if we can change that. Okay. Okay, Rob, did you?
Yeah, so on page 15, the bottom right, 95.04, we changed village fiscal officer to building commissioner. I agree with that. That last one where you say change it from village engineer to building commissioner, I don't know. I think that maybe it should be Chris. I don't know if it should remain Chris. If you read that last.
Well, it's village. Oh, I see where you
In
are.
an effort to assist the providers with completion.
yeah.
So
So this,
it seems like Chris would know about the right of way. It seems like Chris would be the right person to know about all of the other right of way work that's going on versus the building commissioner.
So you think leave it in the village engineer, Chris? What are your thoughts?
that's okay with me, because I think either way, I'm going to be talking to the building commissioner, because right now the permits for utility work, like on Petoskey, went through the building department. They didn't go through me. So I would have to touch base unless we change that and have all the right-of-way permits go through me. They could still go through the building commissioner, but we'd have to just be able to get together. It's kind of like on one point of, I guess I'm thinking at the advantage of the utility. Do you want one point of contact as the building commissioner or as myself? And then we would just make sure that we would coordinate projects.
I think you bring up a good point, Chris. I think it's good for them to have, because there are other places where they're supposed to contact the building commissioner. So having a single point of contact would be good. And we need to make sure on our end, we're clear about who's doing what between you and Don,
Right. Exactly.
Okay. So I'm good with that. So move it to building commissioner. Like you already have it marked up, Kelly.
Sure thing.
And sometimes if we want to do village representative, I've seen that in here a couple places.
Yeah.
It makes it more confusing for them, but maybe that's better for us to say, well, in this, we'll have to do more decision tree then. Well, in this case, it's going to go to this person as opposed to that person. But something to think about, I guess.
Well, for the purpose of this document, I'll change it to building commissioner. I mean, we can always, this isn't carved in stone, but we have ability to change it within reason, I would imagine.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So Chris, on your questions, when it says page 15, mapping requirements of the utility companies, needs paper atlas maps of utility information to the nearest mile. Paper by default if not too complicated. So basically we're just saying, well, one of the comments I have in here is that we wanted just not to have the street, but actually the addresses.
Right.
So that you just say, oh yeah, right. And the other note I have is that we do prefer it in an electronic format. Does that address your comment on your questions about page 15?
A little bit. So the section B, the mapping data, it's talking about filing once again the application for the registration. So this would be a map of everything they have in the village.
Mm-hmm.
So addresses would certainly help. I think with the address was more idea of when they're doing construction, where are you actually going to work? So I think we can add the address point, but it's going to be part of a bigger collection of data. And I do agree with the digital format. I think it was just something to take note of, that they could be giving us paper. Hopefully they're giving us electronic means, but we have to kind of put it in there and see what they're going to give us, what the utility has to offer.
Okay. Well, we'll put it in there.
Yeah, maybe we can get some accurate records for a change.
Right.
Well, we're going to be on your street. Yeah. Okay. So I have, page 17, this whole section 95.05, which we had up until 405 talked about replacing with Dublin. And now we've kind of gone back the other direction.
Yep.
So on your list, page 17, compensation for a certificate of registration, so forth and so on, kind of becomes a moot point. If we're not, or right?
Yeah, I think you're right, Kelly. I think we want to do the Marble Cliff method, because if they can walk us through how they do it, it sounds better than I guess the question is, this says that we want to do it every year. And maybe that's the part maybe that's the only part we want to change. Do we want to do it and then say, we'll renew it when needed, or?
Right. Or just say we review it every 3 years and,
Yeah.
and give ourselves a timeline, but not necessarily every year. My question to that, so the initial year, we're going to have some legal fees involved, which we probably won't incur maybe ever again. So we incorporate that into the fee initially, and we don't change that again, say if we review it every 3 years. I mean, we're good with, so obviously my point is the first year is going to be high.
Well, what Bill said is that Marble Cliff amortized it over 3 years.
That's
Well,
what
and he said that, but I'm questioning, is that what we want to do? Sorry, I have to power.
No, I think it would be better to amortize it, because if you make them eat that pill all at one time, and especially if you want to change the language, to say, well, we'll revisit these calculations every 3 years, that would fit in with that, to say, okay, whatever timeline we're saying to revisit it on, well, let's spread the cost over that timeline, 3 years.
I think also she was also sort of indicating that, on an ongoing basis in any given year, you may have to call the attorney to get verification of something. You're going to have another little teeny legal bill for that. And so you're going to tack that on to the, as you go forward.
Yeah.
And I think, like you're saying, Rob, it lessens the bite all at once.
Yeah.
Okay. So we amortize over 3 years, and then after 3 years, we kind of review it and look more at our actual costs for the year prior, or our anticipated cost for that year.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'd like to review and decide whether to update or not. It's
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, we don't have to change it.
Yeah.
right. So can you ask another question for Frost Brown Top? So on this page 17, number 6, it says maintenance fees shall be invoiced to providers on or about February 1st and due 30 days after. If you turn over to page 18, B says the maintenance fee shall be paid in advance by January 1st of each calendar year. So that's different. And then same thing, if you go down into D, it says registration fee is not paid by January 31st, then we start charging a late fee. So I was like, well, wait a minute. I thought on the front page, we say we're going to invoice them on February 1st, but on the page 18, we say, oh, no, it's on January 1st.
Yeah,
So,
that doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
yeah, it just seems.
Do you think you saw it somewhere? Bill's looking, he thinks he's got some.
Yeah.
Fees
the village-
beginning.
Village by January the 31st of each year shall calculate all actual and incurred costs incurred with right-of-way management.
Yeah, and then you invoice on February 1st. So it doesn't.
Apparently.
It's not consistent, right? In those two, it's.
Oh, well, let's pick one. Well, let's pick the one we want. January 31st. Yeah, this is kind of how they've got it.
Mhm. Yeah, and this is right.
January.
Yeah, but on 17, number 6, it also says that they're required by January 1st for the mileage report. Registration maintenance fee shall be invoiced and provided on or about February 1st.
Right, right. And then you flip the next page, John, and on B, on page 18, 8B says the maintenance will be paid in advance by January 1st. So it's
Oh,
like, I don't
Yeah,
get it.
I
right.
gotcha. Okay.
Hey, and Kelly, Kelly, whatever you find out from Eli about the cable providers, page 17 at the very bottom there, 7, that's where it talks about cable providers and if they're already paying a
You
franchise.
already answered me. Hold on a second. She has told me. Oh, okay. We get it from Charter Spectrum as a franchise fee twice a year, and it is usually 8,000 each check. I don't remember the last one, but it gets put as franchise fee revenue. This is what we pay. We pay ICRC out of that.
Franchise.
Okay.
So I guess we leave it then.
We would just edit that paragraph to exclude Spectrum instead of whatever Columbus cable provider.
Well, actually, the language I have in there right now does exclude cable providers. So I guess we just leave it as is.
Oh, yeah, cool.
Okay.
Because
So-
again, at the bottom of page 17, 7 talks about cable companies and they're
Right.
exempt.
So we just leave it.
Yep.
Okay.
I wonder where that franchise fee runs through.
Well, hey, Rob, just to sort of play something here, how do we know the $8,000 that we're getting is accurate?
No,
I mean,
that's a fair question. I agree.
when has anybody sort of
Checked it.
checked it? When was that last calculated?
Mhm.
Maybe
Well,
somebody look into that.
Yeah. So I think once Chris finds out what the process is, I think that would be a good thing to check, is that still the right number or not? Once
Yeah.
Chris has had a chance to talk to Marble Cliff about how they do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
I agree.
And whatever follow-up questions I need for Eli, we'll take it from there.
Can you ask her what account number that shows up in?
I can.
I mean, we don't.
I'm
know right now.
not guaranteeing a.
I don't need to know right now.
General fund.
Huh?
General fund.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, because I want to see the line. I want to see which line it comes in on. I just don't see a line that's called franchise fee. So it must be buried in another line that has some other fees in it. I don't know.
I shall ask.
I've
Mhm.
never seen it, to be honest.
Yeah.
Noted.
I mean, 8,000 twice a year, that should stand out some.
Yeah.
You should know where that.
So, okay.
Hmm.
Okay, da. Rob, you got another page
Well, I think
before I go to page 25?
Well, I thought Chris had a question, a good point that we brought up last time. I don't know where it goes. Is like, how long do we give them to fix where they dug?
Well, and I think in here it says, I think that was one of your,
I think that's one of the things Chris brought up. I just can't remember where it should go in.
well,
Yeah.
I think it says, wait, say specifically the question again, Rob.
Like, how long do they get to fix something? Like the example we talked about last time was if there was a sinkhole or something like that. Like a sinkhole develops, how long do they have to fix that?
So on page 13, if we go back to that, there was a mark of add timeline in the fourth bullet where it calls about perform all work, construction, maintenance, or removal of facilities within rights of way, blah, blah, blah. And so maybe that's a timeline. I don't know if that's related to the certification or if that's any construction. But that's one place where at least someone made the note.
I did. That's me. It says add timeline. That's me.
Yeah.
They should be.
So but that is in specifically tied to,
It's in the certification section.
yeah,
So they really wouldn't be doing any construction when they're just certifying their space.
right. So that's
There's
not,
a whole section on, there's construction permits, construction, relocation, restoration. Starts on page 27 is where construction, relocation, restoration. Restoration seems to be the part that we were talking about then, right?
Yeah, yeah.
If you go down even on the 14, it talks about the graffiti. They got 21 calendar days, but in 10, let's see what is 10. When you're beginning planning for the construction, paving, maintenance, repairing, relocating, or alternating streets and area in the right of way is defined in chapter. Village due date beginning process at least 30 days prior to the commencement. No, I thought that was,
That's identifying.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's gotta,
Well, so like all the way back on page,
But it's,
all the way back on page 31, it says that the permittee guarantees their work by restoring the right of way itself. It's on 5. So page 31, sub bullet point 5, it talks about how they have to guarantee their work for 12 months.
Yeah.
okay.
following the completion. Yeah.
And then actually on the previous page, page 30, number 3, allows a permittee to restore. And then the last sentence says, if 12 months after completion of the restoration, the village determines the right of way has been properly restored, the surety bond would be released. So it seems to give them up to 12 months. That implies to me 12 months they have to fix it.
Yeah. So if weather permitting, it also has to be done completed after the 5 calendar days of the receipt of the notice from the mayor. So if we find out after almost 12 months later, then they got 5 days to repair it from that. Number 5 there on 31, page 31.
Yeah, by restoring the rights of way themselves, permittee guarantees its work and shall maintain it for 12 months following its completion.
Yes.
During
Now,
this,
during that time, if it gets notified from the mayor that it needs to be correct restoration work, extended all the way down, it says it gives you, they have 5 days after they've been notified.
Yeah, that seems to be it. That seems to capture it then.
yeah.
Yeah.
5 days.
But since we're jumping, 29, I got a comment. We wanted to ask would they remove the old, not just abandon it. I know, like we were talking about, you dig and you find stuff that's in there that's just been in there for forever. So I don't know what the logistics of asking that to be done, like Waterworks puts new pipes and they just abandon the old pipes.
Right.
Same with the gas company.
Yeah. Yeah.
I guess our problem
Well,
may be
that's
it's I1, I guess. A provider shall, as promptly and reasonably possible at its own expense, permanently remove and relocate its facilities. So reasonably might be our problem word.
What page you on, Chris?
29. 29.
Okay, 25 and 29. I'm sorry.
29.
29. Okay, got it.
I believe, relocation of facilities.
Yeah. Little less than halfway down the page, Rob.
It's I1.
You see where I wrote require removal of old stuff, not just abandoned?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right there.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, industry standard is, at least for gas and water lines, that they abandon in place. And although, eventually the right of way is going to get full of abandoned stuff, at some point
Right.
someone's going to take it out, put their new facility in. I don't know if this is a problem the industry has just been kicking down the road, because it's been happening since I've been an engineer.
Right.
So
Yeah, because eventually they're going to, like you said, they're going to get to a point where like, I can't put anything more in here. I have to remove my old stuff.
right.
I mean,
No.
but if it's waterworks and they're going to go, I have to remove my old waterworks stuff. They're not going to say, well, I need to remove Duke's old stuff. They're just going to be responsible for their old abandoned items.
Yeah, that's a good point. Then if they know where their old line is, would they choose to go into their old space as opposed to another utility's old space, if they even have records of that?
Yeah.
They should, but we all know records.
Yeah. Well, I keep having flashbacks to Homewood.
Well, you know what they're going to do. I mean, if they're proposing a new project and the right of way is crowded where they want to go, they're either going to calculate and engineer into that project the removal to make space for whatever it is they want to do, or they'll find a nearby space to go.
Yeah.
I mean, it'll be one of those things that they'll just calculate as the situation presents itself.
And when you say calculate, you mean incorporate into any bid.
into any bid,
So they'll recoup it one way or the
one way or
other.
the other. But I mean, to ask them, like as an example, like the gas companies, you know, and the interesting point too, like the gas companies laying a new gas line over there on Petoskey right now. Well, they're threading the new line down through the existing line, are they not?
No,
Chris?
they're laying it right next to each other.
Oh, it's right next
Oh,
to each
they
other.
are? Oh, I
I
thought
thought
they were
they were going inside the old
That
pipe.
was my understanding. They were laying it next to each other.
Yeah,
oh,
because in some situations they are able to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now on page 28, in that section 2, it says the village has the power to prohibit or limit the placement of new or additional facilities within the right of way, and especially if it was full. So we have that.
okay,
Yeah,
right.
Kelly, I like in that section 20, on page 29, I think that's good that we have something, if we can, to require removal of old stuff, not just abandonment, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like John points out on page 28, F2, the village has the power to prohibit or limit the placement of new or additional facilities, so forth and so on. Okay,
I think it's good to have it in there, but I can tell you this right now. I mean, it's going to be quite a conversation if you're going to require a utility to remove, you know, old pipe or, you know, whatever's in the way, because that's substantially going to, potentially, that's going to add to the cost of the job.
sure,
Yeah.
we'll pay for it.
So,
So maybe we put require. Yeah,
it's nice that we have the option to ask them. I'm certainly saying that. But-
well, then let's just make sure we make sure that we specifically say we have the option, which I think we've accomplished on page 28. Wherever the hell that is, right here.
Yeah.
Right, the village shall have the power to prohibit or limit the placement of new. Yeah,
Yeah, it says that we would have the power to do that, that we wouldn't, I mean, it would be a discussion.
yeah,
No, but again, I think on page 29 though, in that I1 is, it says they will permanently remove and relocate facilities whenever the village finds it necessary to request.
Yeah,
such.
finds it necessary.
So I think that gives that flexibility you're talking about.
Yeah,
yeah,
I think so. And I mean, obviously our village engineer, you know, would be part of it, that kind of a determination.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
yeah.
think it reads well.
Mhm.
okay. All right. The thing that I want to make sure we address is on Chris's questions where it says page 30, section K, rights of way restoration. And you say, I do not recommend this.
So this is where, at least the way I read it, is the village could perform the work, or the permittee could pay us to restore the right of way. And we don't, I mean, we could have that as the ability, but we're never going to take that opportunity, or we don't want to take that opportunity. So I think it leaves us room to get out of that, as I was reading it again.
In addition, the permittee must restore the general area of the work and the surrounding areas, and so forth and so on. If the permittee is unable to timely complete the restoration of rights of way due to unreasonable inclement weather conditions, the permittee shall provide interim service restoration as directed by the engineer.
As soon as the weather conditions permit.
Yeah, so that. So are you questioning that, Chris, or
No, that's fine.
that's
I mean-
okay?
You're on page 6, number 6, right?
Page 30,
31, page 31, number 6 is where you say, you know, it falls to the village, but the village just contracts it out. Because I think Kelly, you called out on your sheet here, village may do such work or its contractor of choice, you know, to add that wording.
well, hold on, Rob, back up a second, because what I'm looking at on Chris's question, this is what I was just talking about on page 30, section K,
Right.
village may describe how to repair the right of way. Permittee may place a bond with the village and have the village perform the restoration. I do not recommend that. And this is where we just were. So now, having read it again, Chris, you feel comfortable with it, the way it's worded?
It's K3.
It's over here, I think.
The permittee, yeah, if the village allows a permittee to restore the rights of way, the permittee may at the time of application construction post a construction bond with a detailed cost breakdown for approval. Let's see. Okay, yeah, once again, that just releases the bond back and forth.
Yeah, so it's not on us to do the work there.
Yeah, never mind.
I think 6 is where the work, it comes to us, and we want to add that wording in that says we can contract it out. And then it also says, and we're going to bill the permittee then.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
I
Well,
think that'll.
all that number 3 is under K there on 30. That's just saying they're going to give us a bond for 12 months.
Yeah.
If it works, great, we'll give the bond back. If not, then we can use that money to pay to help get it repaired.
Yeah, I mean, we obviously we have to have it at our option. If we're not satisfied with the way they put something back, and we've basically given them 1 or 2 opportunities to correct it, and they haven't, we have to have that option to say, okay, guys, you're done. We're going to go hire somebody else to do it, and you're going to pay for it.
Right.
I mean, that's
Right.
what we
This
want
is
here, right?
basically what this is
That's
doing
what-
right here.
Yeah.
But that's if they give us that bond money prior to the work.
Yes.
Well, okay.
And that we determine it's not satisfactory.
Mhm.
That's
Correct.
Yeah.
And when I guess, because it says village, so that lets us pick who in the village, whether it's Chris or somebody that we hire or whatever. That covers it because it says by the village.
Yep.
Yeah, I like that part.
Yeah,
So they'll put the bond up when they do the get the permit for the application for the construction.
Right.
right.
Agree.
What's the amount of the bond? Who determines that?
There's a whole section in here that lays out the bond amounts, and then
Yeah.
if they provide their books and they show that they're worth over more than $50 million, then they can actually self-insure type of thing.
Yeah. It's usually, a bond is usually 10% of what the project is.
No. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Sounds about right.
I just learned something. Okay.
Now, Krista called out, I wrote down in my notes from last time we met on page 35, going down the page there, number 2. They don't allow, you can't open a street if it's been worked on within the last 24 months. And I wrote down here, Chris had mentioned City of Cincinnati 36. I don't know if we want to.
Right.
What number is it, Rob?
Where are you at, Rob?
Page 35, number 2, like halfway down the page, a little over halfway down the page.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cutting on a newly constructed street within 24 months.
Right.
Chris had pointed out to us that City of Cincinnati uses 36. So I don't know if we want to do that or not.
Yeah. It's just
What do you think of the pros and cons to that, Chris?
I kind of like it just because it's like a bigger hammer. If the utility has to look at a street going, so we can't get back in there for 3 years. Well, maybe I do want to go in with you or before your project starts.
Yeah.
Hey guys, it's too bad too. I don't know whether you've noticed this, but directly across from the promenade there at the new entrance to the high school, they've already cut into the new pavement. They've dug a hole big enough to drive a bus into. Have you seen that?
Not yet. No.
Yeah. They were down there patching it back today, but I mean, good Lord, it hasn't been 2 weeks.
Right. And they're already. It's for the kids, Bill.
It's for the kids.
It's for the kids.
Yeah.
That's the underground shelter they put in.
Yeah, is that what it is? Yeah.
And the underground parking garage.
Oh.
It's just a point of reference, 24 will probably work as well as 36. A lot of these cuts, I don't think the high school one we can count, but most of these are emergencies, you know. Other things, if they truly couldn't coordinate, then, you know, what do you do?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, obviously there's got to be some kind of an exception for an emergency cut, right?
Well,
Yeah.
right.
Oh, definitely, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think that's addressed in this literature, but actually, that may be a question for Frost Brown Todd. Do they define an emergency cut to the pavement in here anywhere?
I don't know.
It's a good question.
You know, there's 2A, an emergency situation requires an open cut as necessary and or vital services. So there's a couple of exceptions right there after the 24 months.
What page are you on, Chris?
Same page, 35. So we have part 2, under no circumstances, 24 months. And then right below that,
Okay.
there's an A, B, C, and there's an emergency situation. These are all exceptions. Vital services. Or then there's C. The village engineer determines in the best interest of the village that such open cut take place.
That's good. Leaves the flexibility.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I'd leave it go as is.
Okay.
Okay, I was looking ahead. I don't have any other stuff. That was all the things I had.
Oh,
Did we get all the business items addressed?
I think right out, most of it is, do you want to change village engineer to building commissioner? You know, is there
well,
any?
we did in a number of places. Are there places where you didn't see me do that you're concerned about? I mean, I tried to do it in all the places that we had talked about in our last meeting, but I might have missed something. I don't know if you want to.
I think to Chris's point earlier, I think, you know, where we're providing them with a contact, I think it should always be the building commissioner. But there is some stuff in here where I think it is appropriate that we say the village engineer has to decide or determine whether, you know, this meets the criteria, blah, 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 that kind of stuff.
Yeah. I mean, Chris, if you want to take the opportunity to do that and get back with me, I don't know if you want to do that now. You certainly don't have to take the time to do that now.
Okay. Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Because I think I marked it in all the places we did talk about, primarily changing fiscal officer to building commissioner. But I think there was a couple places we changed from building or from, I think in general where it said village engineer, we left it except in a couple places. So if you're concerned about changing that, take a look through it and just, you know, shoot me an email or whatever and let me know you wanted to have that changed.
Okay. All right.
Does that work? Okay.
Yeah, that's fine. Let's do that. Yeah, we're getting long here, aren't we?
It's a margarita with my name on it.
No,
Oh, shoot. Sorry, I shouldn't have said that. Inappropriate.
So with that piece of that's all I have too.
Okay. And again, I think the big thing is that fee structure, dagnabbit. So Chris, if you want me to coordinate that call? Do you want to coordinate that call? It's up to you.
Well, if you send the information that you've got.
Okay. Well, yeah, I'll do that. I'll get these documents to you. There's no question.
Let me read through it, get familiar with it, and then maybe,
Okay.
you know, if you want to be, we could always do the conference call. Maybe we'll schedule something.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Kelly, if you can email this stuff to me, but I don't need to be on the call. You guys, I don't need to be there for that.
Yeah, I'm going to send it to, well, John, do you want it?
Yeah, I'll just have it just for our records.
Okay. I'll send it to everybody on the meeting. Since I'm taking bills, I guess I probably need to send it to him too.
Well, I can make myself.
Oh, he can.
I got
He
it
can make
electronic.
copies.
We got electronic.
Okay. All right. So good stuff. Are we all set? Now make the changes and take the appropriate action, and we'll go from there. What do you think?
Sounds good.
Everybody good?
I think it's good.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, fellas.
Thanks for getting us together, Kelly. Appreciate
All
it.
right. Sure. All right. Talk to you later.
Yeah. Bye.
Okay. Bye.